How in the world am I going to get all these little pieces in the right configuration?
What the hell do we do with that?
Sometimes you just have to be okay with being okay.
Hey there, and welcome to Truth Be Told, our weekly video series where we drop some ancient wisdom on you in some hopefully new and entertaining ways. So, happy 2020, day 398, or whatever it is, who's really counting. But today is Groundhog's Day. The groundhog did see his shadow, so that means another 6 weeks of January. But being a new month, we are now going to bring you a new topic like we do every other month. But this month is a little bit different. We are going to keep the segments the same each week, and the three of us are going to rotate through each of those segments, which is a little bit backwards from what we've been doing. So we think it's going to be a lot of fun. And what we're going to do is each week we're going to bring you the challenge of the week, the opportunity of the week, and the tool of the week, where we get to address a certain topic and why that's challenging. And in each challenge, there is an opportunity for us for growth, and then we'll present a tool, a certain way that we can work through whatever that challenge is. So this week, the topic is overwhelm, something that I know all of us deal with from time to time. And yet, I think there's probably a little bit more to overwhelm than we have possibly understood in the past. And there is actually some really great secrets in overwhelm that are just out there waiting for us. So, sit back, enjoy, Truth Be Told.
I was going to begin by telling you what feeling overwhelmed looks like, but then I decided I'll just go ahead and show you. So, for me, this is it. That's where I'm at right now, which is okay. So I thought that I would model a little bit of self-care and say sometimes you just have to be okay with being okay. So tonight, no mustache wax, no changing clothes, no filming from bed. That's where we're at. So here we go. All right, so we have our challenge. The challenge for the week is overwhelm. What is it? How does it look? What's it feel like? How does it show up? So the first thing I did is I looked up a definition, and the one that I liked at first was for something to become too much to deal with. But then there's another one that I thought captures the feeling a little better, and it is to bury or drown beneath a huge mass. Oh, yeah. So how is it that events, responsibilities, emotions, and even our imagination can make us feel like we are drowning? Well, let's look at how it shows up and then see where that leads us. So overwhelm arrives when we start to feel like we're losing control over some variable. To be overwhelmed can happen when we have too many things on our to-do list. It can be caused by experiencing too much of an emotion or by experiencing too many different emotions. It can be caused by any of the major life stressors, such as moving, death, a baby, starting or ending a job, ending a long-term relationship. Any of these on their own can be challenging, but by their very nature, having one usually causes one or more of the others, which intensifies the feeling of being overwhelmed. Being overwhelmed can look like anxiety because of societal problems. It can manifest as worry about things that have already happened, or present itself as worry about what might happen in the future. Now, it feels maybe like a tightening in the chest, maybe a headache, tension in the body. It can cause or exacerbate brain fog. It can feel like extreme fatigue. It can feel like there's no solution, no hope, maybe sadness, depression, and worry. One thing that I can imagine everybody can agree on is that being overwhelmed does not feel good. Now, life can bring big levels of overwhelm just by being a regular life. Its inherent responsibilities. Life can be hard. When you take into consideration COVID and a pandemic, and you have like an underlying condition that really compounds everything. If you only look at the negative that exists in the world and you look at it as a giant snapshot of reality, it can be extremely overwhelming. So overwhelm, when we have it, can cause us to have tunnel vision, and then we miss the positive or the opportunities or windows that might have helped us. So one last cause of overwhelm, it comes from the shoulds. I should be more fill in the blank. I should have started earlier. I should be getting blank. Whatever it is, when we start a sentence with should, usually it finishes with but I didn't or but I won't. It adds a layer of guilt, and guilt can definitely contribute to more overwhelming feelings. You get the idea, and I'm sure you've probably heard this before, but in case you haven't, please don't should all over yourself. When we feel overwhelmed, it can cause us to not take any action, which then leads to more feelings of being overwhelmed, which turns into a downward spiral. But don't panic, don't give up. There is hope. There are tools and then opportunities for growth that can come out of all of this. So let's tune in to Reverend Dan and Reverend Ryan and see what they can tell us about being overwhelmed.
Welcome to your opportunity of the week. We just got through hearing all about our challenge of the week, Overwhelm, and this is the time where we get to figure out what the hell do we do with that? What do we do with overwhelm? It sucks. It's a really crappy feeling. It's something that I can almost guarantee all of us have felt or do feel at times. And now we need to know what to do with it. What do we do with overwhelm? Well, what I know is that in any moment where we are facing an issue, a challenge, a concern, a problem, it is an invitation to stop, to turn within, and to create something new, to create a new thought process, to create a new experience. Whatever it is to create something new. So first, we need to understand what it is about overwhelm that makes us feel like we are facing a problem, an issue. We heard all about the details, but what does it boil down to? Really, overwhelm boils down to a belief in separation. This idea that there is more coming at us than we are able to respond to or handle. Overwhelm really has nothing to do with the events or the tasks at hand. Overwhelm has nothing to do with what's in front of us. It seems so much like it is about all of those things out there that we are having to do, having to accomplish. Overwhelm is when there's all of these things that need to get done, too much for us to handle. And yet it has nothing to do with that. It is the invitation to reconnect with the universe, reconnect with that thing that is so much greater than we are, with spirit, with God. That in this recognition, the power of all of this overwhelm dissipates. The overwhelm is really not about any of that. It is a recognition of feeling and looking outward, looking out there rather than looking within, looking to that thing which we simply speak the word into, which we have creative thought within as, right? This God creates through us. There is nothing outside of our capabilities that is ever presented to us because we are creating it. If it's in front of us, it is for us. So Ernest Holmes says about this, he says, illusion is not in conditions or things of themselves, but in the way we interpret them. We forget that this thing in front of us, this overwhelm, the feeling of being overwhelmed, is in and of itself not real. It is a metaphor or a symbol, something that stands for our beliefs about the things behind that overwhelm. What is it that we are feeling overwhelmed about? So when we stop, we pause, we turn within, what we're really doing is reconnecting. Reconnecting to ourselves, reconnecting to our feelings, our beliefs, but also reconnecting to that thing that's greater than we are. Reconnecting to the universe, to spirit, to that thing where there is no overwhelm, right? In the realm of spirit, there is no overwhelm. Overwhelm is an illusion that is experienced in this plane, in our physical reality, and yet this overwhelm is not reality. So simply, The solution, the opportunity in Overwhelm is to stop, recognize that it does not have any power over us. It does not have any authority over us. That Overwhelm itself is not real. And simply when we pause and take that power back, now all of a sudden we have a new opportunity to create. So when we stop and turn within and reconnect with ourselves, we are reconnecting with this invitation to take this moment, this experience, one step further to actually transform ourselves from it. Because now, once we recognize what that feels like, when we recognize that we can no longer need to respond from that place, from that feeling, we can now respond differently. We're not in reaction anymore. We're actually creating our response. So we are now in creative mode. We can change how we respond to do it different. So that really is the solution. We are being invited to turn within, to monitor what our response is, and live from creation. That is our opportunity of the week, to live from creation.
Hey there, we aren't quite done yet, but I want to take a moment to thank you so much for being here. We are grateful for all the support that we receive. And thank you so much for being here and watching with us. It's truly been a pleasure to pull all this together and bring some ancient wisdom and inspiration to you. If you feel the call to pay it forward, we welcome your gifts. You can always text a donation to 616-207-0007, including the keyword SEC. And more details on how to give on our website. Well, welcome to Tool of the Week. Now, if you'd been here just a few hours earlier, you would have seen the components of this mountain bike and all its pieces spread out all over the floor. And you would have seen me kind of with my head in my hands wondering, how in the world am I going to get all these little pieces in the right configuration to create a functioning mountain bike? And what I mean by functioning is one that you ride and the wheels don't fall off. So it's kind of like life. Sometimes we have situations or circumstances or interactions with others or projects or just things in our life in general. But there's just so many moving pieces, so many parts, and we become overwhelmed looking at the parts and wondering how we're going to put those parts and pieces together to get the end result. Whether it be an end result of a project, whether it be an end result of a relationship or an interaction. And we can get really overwhelmed with that. So the tool for the week this week is called the next right step. Now, this is something I learned a long time ago. And when I had a situation in my life, a circumstance, or a decision that needed to be made, or multiple decisions that needed to be made, I began to feel this sense of overwhelm and panic and anxiety. And what if I make the wrong decision and then something bad's going to happen, or just all those what ifs that we have in our lives, especially when we get overwhelmed with the energy of things that are going on. And so I made a practice of doing the next right step. Now, in a process that I wanted to transform or to create, there may be 10 steps along the way. But what was mine to do was the next right step. Knowing that my energy and focus on that next right step, and then the path for the next step would be revealed, and then the path for the next step be revealed. And I found that this was just an instant thing to help with overwhelm. Because if I just focus my energy on that just next right step, to show up in a way that I wanted to show up, to be my best, and that first step, that it gave me the energy, it gave me the confidence, it gave me the peace and clarity to make the next right step. So just like putting this mountain bike together, I just focused on what's the first step, what's the next piece, what's the next piece. It's the same when we deal with things in our life. And it's the same when we deal with the spiritual path, the spiritual journey that we're on. So many times we get caught up in, I want to be at this point where I can sit and meditate for hours on end. And we show up day one and we make it 5 minutes. And then we get discouraged or overwhelmed, and then we just give up. But the importance is the next right step, and building that step on the next step on the next step. And understanding that it's a journey, it's a path. And sometimes we may get overwhelmed with the pieces. If we just take it one step at a time, we will realize that the end result will be far greater than we could ever imagine. So, tool for the week, take the next right step.
Thank you for being here, and an even bigger thank you for watching until the end. If you'd like to take an even deeper dive, join us in conversation on Thursday night. We will explore this week's topic, answer questions, and just be together in a truly transformative experience. While you're here, click like and share, join our Facebook community so you can stay in contact with your community. The Soul Evolution Collaborative is supported and made possible by people like you. If you feel the call to help financially support this mission, you can text or give online. More information at soulevolutioncollaborative.org. All donations are tax deductible and greatly appreciated. To stay up to date, visit the Soul Evolution Collaborative website at soulevolutioncollaborative.org to sign up for email, news, and inspiration. We'll see some of you Thursday night at 7 p.m. Everybody else, we'll see you next week.